So this is my personal video log for some of the things that I've been learning lately. And this one is about a very important topic, subjects for every web developer, authentication. And I'm taking on passport authentication, and in the next few days I'm going to be looking at different passport authentication strategies. So tonight I'm putting together a video log of some of the stuff that I've done. This is on how you can do Google authentication in your application. So I'm pretty much going to start from the beginning for almost everything. So I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it video log. Okay, I already have it. So, and I have nothing in it. So if you check that out, you see there's absolutely nothing in there. So the first thing I want to do is I will make another video and I will call it Google Auth. Okay, and then I'll go into the Google Auth, and I need to initialize a new application. I'll do that by using npm init. So what npm is going to do is just ask me a couple of questions like name of the application, the version, the description, the entry to the application. I will change that to server.js, and the author is Gideon Ogongo. Okay, and I will say yes, this is exactly what I want. So that creates a single file for me, which is package.json, which is fine. So I have Visual Studio Code installed, so if I literally just type code dots in command prompts, so that's what I get. So I'm going to create a server.js file first, and then in there I'm going to require Express, and then I'm going to execute Express. Listen on port 3000. Okay, I'll create one single route. And let's do a respond.json. Okay, so this is basic stuff. If I say node server.js and I press the enter key, obviously Express is not installed, so I'll do that quickly. So alright, now I have Express installed. So if I say node server.js, app is now running. So if I open up Chrome and I say localhost 3000, there we go, I get hello world. Okay, so that's just the boilerplate code that I need to get started. So the next thing I do want to be able to do is what I have learned regarding Google authentication using Passport. So the first thing I learned is that you have to require the base code for Passport authentication, and that's going to come from your Passport. Okay, and because I'm using Google Authentication, GoogleStrategy, I will also require that as well. So I'll call that GoogleStrategy, and this is passport Google or 20, which is version 2.strategy. Alright, I'm sure you're probably thinking, why OR20? Well, there's a predecessor version which is OR1, and there's been some improvement on the OR2, so hence I'm using that. And always remember to also put the strategy at the end of that as well. So I also learned that passports authentication strategy is implemented using a middleware. So the way you would do that will be passport.use, and then you create a new instance of GoogleStrategy. Okay, and this instance takes two different arguments. So the first one is options, and then the options will take client ID, and the second one will be client secret for Google, and the third one is callback URL. Okay, so the first option is going to be an object that has three different properties that you have to supply: it's client ID, client secret, and callback. So because the way GoogleStrategy works is whenever you go to the site and you say login with Google, it redirects you to Google server. So that means somehow you have to link your application to Google in a way. So I'm going to do that shortly. And once I've gone to Google, created an application in Google for my app, I'll need to supply the client ID and the client secret and then the callback URL. In fact, as a matter of fact, let's go do that now. So if you go to Google Developer Console, press the Enter key, and then I actually think it's console.developers.google.com. Yep, that's where I want to be. So once you're here, you can create a new application by simply coming here. So let's create one for videolog. Actually, click create. So videolog. Okay. So just remember, whenever you create an application, to use the applications. Otherwise, whatever changes you make in the Google console will not reflect on your application. So at this point in time, my application is being created. So my application is up and running now. So what I need to do is to go enable the Google Plus API. And I will do that by just looking up Google Plus API, type enable, alright, and it comes back and it says, well, Google Plus API is enabled, some basic details, and it has a very important message. So if you use this API, you may need to create a credential. So it's either you click it from there, or you come to credential, and then here you click the OAuth client credentials, and then you just say, yeah, I want to configure the consent. And there's two things you need here. So videolog, and just the name is about the only thing that you need from there. You click save. So and then I want an application, and the origin of my application is localhost 3000, and then HTTP. Okay. URL must not contain. /. All right, cool. So whenever I go to my application and I click login, it takes me to Google. I provide my credential. If my credential is valid, Google will need to redirect me back to my application. So I'm gonna say my application is gonna have a redirect of free auth. That's Google/callback. Okay, and then I'll create that, and then just about there. Click the create button, wait for the process to complete, and this is basically the information that you needed. So you copy the client ID, go to your application, you paste it right there, you copy the client secret and you paste it right there. And then you're probably thinking, so what is this option? If you remember, I said that this will be a auth Google callback, so you just need to come back and put this here as well. Alright, you click on the OK button, your application can now at least get somewhere with the Google authentication. Okay, so far we haven't really done much. We've just configured the Google Auth, and then I also mentioned that the GoogleStrategy takes two different arguments. One is an object which contains client ID, client secret, and client callback URL. So the second argument is essentially a callback. So, and it comes back with an access token. So what I'm doing here is just simply saying, okay, if I'm able to get the token successfully, I just want you to write that out in a console. So this is just the middleware that I plugged into the passport. Nothing really is going to happen now, even if I were to run my application. So for me to kick off the process, I'm going to create a route called auth at Google. And what this simply means is whenever someone visits this URL, like they want to log in, for example, I would say I want to log in with passport authenticated. So whenever you create and whenever you're using Google or any strategy for passports, there's a unique identifier for every single strategy that you choose. In this case, because I'm using Google, the unique identifier will be Google. Hence, I'm literally saying here, hey, whenever someone visits that URL, I want you to use passport to authenticate them and use the Google strategy. And I want you to give me access to a couple of things. So you do that with the scope. Actually, I think that goes in an object. So you give a scope and then you say, I want access to profile and I want access to email. These are pretty fine properties that already exist on on the Google API. So feel free to go on the Google website and just check it out, and you'll be able to find pretty much what you need there. So that's essentially it for the property. I'm not sure. So passport authenticate Google, and then I have a scope object, and I'm missing another parenthesis right there. Okay, cool. So this will simply mean that if I actually run this application now, I should get something. So .js, press the enter key. Okay, so I haven't installed passports, and then passports Google or auth 20 let's save. So this is quite important. Before you can use any package within your applications, you must make sure you have the packages installed. So if I say server.js now, my application is up and running. And remember, if I go to localhost 3000, nothing is going to happen because we don't have any routes for that. So if I say auth /Google and I press the enter key. Perfect. So with very little line of code, I've been able to sort of get my applications to use Google to authenticate me. So if I come in here and I say, okay, yeah, authenticate with a user, you can see that the callback is that auth Google callback, which is essentially that URL. So that's what happened when you are able to authenticate successfully. And then if you also go to the console as well, nothing is really happening at the moment because you have not completed the authentication process. So to complete the authentication process, you need to create auth Google callback, and then I'm using passport to authenticate as well, and all I need to say is just Google. So for now, this callback function authenticates with Google as well, which is almost the same as the previous. However, I can also pass in a few other arguments. One of them is an object that would redirect if this authentication fails, and then the other is essentially if the authentication succeeds, I might want to redirect to the home page of the application, which we don't have none at the moment. But with this, at least our application will be able to complete the auth process. All right, let me stop the server and run the server again. And then I've just made sure that it was saved as well. So let's go begin the process again. So just watch the console, because one of the things that we said we wanted to do is that if you visit that, you're going to be able to authenticate with Google. If everything is fine, the callback gets called. Once the callback is called, the entire authentication process is complete, and we're going to log the access code token that we got from Google. All right, and then let's go do that. So if I click on this, and you can see right there we got back the access token, and that's what we need to save in our database. And this is obviously just going to keep going because we're really not doing anything yet. We're not redirecting to a home page or anything like that. So it's just going to go on like this forever. You do have the ability to log more things as well. In fact, 3 things comes back here. So it's access token, it's refresh token, it's profile, and then done. So just for now, we can just log, we've logged access token, so let's log refresh token. Let's log the profile, that's gonna be a lot. And so if I save this, and then I sort of go back to my site and I hit back, remember you have to shut down the server and restart the server again. Okay, so I'm going to kick off my auth process again by going to the auth Google URL. Alright, this time around, because I'm already logged into Google, you can see I get like a bunch of information coming down from Google right there. You can see ID, family name, you can see detailed information about me. And that's essentially the stuff that we're getting back from, that's what we're getting back from the complete cycle of authentications using Google Auth as well. Alright, so that's the first part in setting up your Google authentication. Remember, you set up Express, Passport, Google, Auth 2 if you get the strategy. You configure with 3 properties that you have to go get from Google by creating an app there, and then you set up 2 routes. First route is the authentication route, and you scope accessibility to the properties in Google to profile and email, and then when the callback returns, you complete the authentication by using Google. Thanks for watching, and as I carry on with the video log, I would show you more videos on how this goes as well.